The 15th of May, 1963. Major Gordon Cooper was alone in his Mercury capsule, completing his final orbit around Earth. The tracking station at Muchea, near Perth, Australia, had just picked up something unusual on radar. Cooper spotted a greenish, glowing object approaching his spacecraft. It moved against the star field, holding a steady trajectory that ruled out any known space debris or satellite. But NASA's official records never formally acknowledged this incident in mission reports. For over 6 decades, astronauts have ventured beyond Earth's protective atmosphere, into the hostile void of space. Out there, 400 kilometers above our planet's surface, they have witnessed phenomena that defy easy explanation. Some encounters have scientific explanations that took years to understand. Others remain mysteries that NASA would rather not discuss. Today we are examining 5 documented cases of astronauts encountering the genuinely terrifying, not science fiction, but actual incidents reported by the men and women who have left our planet behind. In July 1969, just days after Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made history on the lunar surface, Aldrin reported something deeply unsettling during the mission debriefing. He had been seeing flashes of light with his eyes closed. Not ordinary flashes, but strange streaks and spots that appeared to move across his vision even in complete darkness. Armstrong confirmed he had experienced the same phenomenon. Now, I kid you not, what happened next is rather extraordinary. NASA initially treated these reports with skepticism, but as more Apollo astronauts returned with identical stories, they realized something genuinely strange was happening. During Apollo missions, astronauts reported that the flashes were predominantly white, with one astronaut describing them as blue with a white cast, like a blue diamond. Astronauts described the types of flashes in 3 ways: the spot, the streak, and the cloud. According to astronaut Don Pettit, who served on the International Space Station in 2012, he said, "In the dark confines of my sleep station, with the droopy eyelids of pending sleep, I see the flashing fairies." He was not being poetic. These flashes occur when cosmic rays pass through the retina, causing the rods and cones to fire, creating the perception of light that is not actually there. Here's where it gets properly disturbing. Many astronauts have complained of trouble sleeping because of these disruptive scintillations. Imagine trying to rest after an exhausting spacewalk, only to have your brain bombarded by phantom lights every few minutes. During dark periods, astronauts reported seeing a flash every 2.9 minutes on average. The mechanism behind these flashes remained a mystery for years. Scientists now believe cosmic rays, highly energetic particles from deep space that are normally blocked by Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere, are responsible. But here's the truly worrying part. These cosmic rays do not just affect vision, they penetrate the International Space Station's hull. They can lock up laptop computers, and they can permanently damage camera pixels. By 2006, according to research published in the scientific journals, about 80% of NASA and European Space Agency astronauts reported experiencing these flashes. The long-term effects on astronaut health, particularly for future Mars missions where exposure would last years, remain deeply concerning. On the 18th of May, 1969, the crew of Apollo 10 was conducting final preparations for the moon landing that would happen just 2 months later. Astronauts Thomas Stafford, John Young, and Eugene Cernan were orbiting the far side of the moon, completely cut off from Earth by 2,159 miles of solid rock. For 1 hour, they were more isolated than any humans had ever been. That is when they heard it. The astronauts reported hearing a whistling sound, which Cernan described as outer space-type music. The mission transcripts, classified until 1973, reveal their bewilderment. Cernan asked his crewmates, "You hear that? That whistling sound?" He later added, "Boy, that sure is weird music." What makes this encounter particularly unsettling is their reaction. Young responded to Cernan's question about telling mission control with nobody. And when asked, "Shall we tell them about it?" Cernan replied, "I don't know." The sound persisted for nearly an hour as they practiced the separation and redocking procedures that would be crucial for Apollo 11's success. According to recordings, Cernan said the sound was whistling and even made a long whoo sound. Now bear with me because this gets stranger. When Apollo 11 flew the same trajectory just months later, Michael Collins, who piloted the command module alone, while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, also heard strange sounds. In his book Carrying the Fire, Collins wrote about hearing an eerie woo-woo sound and admitted that had he not been warned about it, it would have scared the hell out of him. NASA technicians eventually provide an explanation. Allegedly, it was interference between the VHF radios on the lunar module and the command module. But Apollo 15 astronaut Al Worden disagreed with this explanation, stating, "The Apollo 10 crew is very used to the kind of noise that they should be hearing. Logic tells me that if there was something recorded on there, then there was something there. The recordings of these sounds were not released to the public until 2016, nearly 50 years after the incident. Why the lengthy delay? NASA has never provided a satisfactory answer to that question. In 1995, veteran NASA astronaut Story Musgrave made a revelation that NASA was not particularly pleased about. With 6 space missions under his belt, Musgrave was one of the most experienced astronauts in history. What he claimed to have seen was not a brief glimpse or a trick of the light. In the documentary Sightings, Musgrave said that on 2 of his missions, and he still did not have an answer, he had seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long. He went on to describe it in detail. He said it is rubbery because it has internal waves in it, and it follows you for a rather long period of time. Think about that for a moment. A 6-foot serpent-like object moving with internal waves following a spacecraft in the vacuum of space, where nothing should be able to survive or move in that manner. Musgrave saw this not once, but on 2 separate missions. NASA was irritated to discover Musgrave was sharing these stories because he had not officially reported them at the time. But Musgrave himself offered a possible explanation, speculating that what he called the snake could actually have been a rubber seal that had somehow come loose from the spacecraft. Still, a rubber seal that maintains its shape and appears to follow the spacecraft for extended periods, that moves with internal waves as if alive, even Musgrave's proposed explanation raises more questions than it answers. The fact that he observed this phenomenon twice on different missions makes it even more puzzling. Now here is where things get properly strange. In July 1984, the crew of the Soviet space station Salyut 7 had been in orbit for 155 days. Cosmonauts Oleg Atkov, Vladimir Solovyov, and Leonid Kizim had settled into their routine of experiments and maintenance. Then on July 12, 1984, something extraordinary allegedly happened. According to reports that emerged after the Cold War, the space station was completely bathed in a mesmerizing orange light that was so bright it temporarily blinded the crew. When their vision returned and they looked out the portholes to find the source, all 3 cosmonauts reported seeing the faces of 7 angels hovering just outside the space station. The cosmonauts claimed these beings were humanoid in appearance, with faces and bodies that looked human, but they had wings and halos. According to their accounts, these beings kept pace with the space station for 10 minutes before vanishing. Now you might think this was a case of space-induced hallucination after 155 days in orbit, but here is the truly bizarre part. On day 167, after another crew arrived on Soyuz T-12, Svetlana Savitskaya, Igor Volk, and Vladimir Janibekov, Salyut 7 was once again bathed in the same warm orange light, and once again the beings appeared. All 6 cosmonauts reportedly witnessed the second incident. They described the beings as the size of an airliner. The Soviet government allegedly classified all information relating to these incidents, and details only emerged years later. We do not know for sure what happened aboard Salyut 7. The official Soviet Space Agency records, which are now publicly available, make no mention of any angels or unusual sightings during the 1984 missions. Some researchers suggest the story may have been embellished or fabricated after the fall of the Soviet Union. Others point to the extreme conditions of long-duration spaceflight and the possibility of shared hallucinations. What we do know is that Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovyov, and Oleg Atkov did complete a 237-day stay on Salyut 7, which ended on October 2nd, 1984, setting a space endurance record at the time. Whether they encountered something inexplicable during that time remains one of space exploration's most controversial mysteries. Let's return to Major Gordon Cooper's 1963 encounter. Before joining NASA, Cooper had already witnessed what he described as metallic, saucer-shaped discs at considerable altitude while piloting an F-86 Sabre over western Germany in 1951. But his most significant sighting came during his Mercury mission. On May 15, 1963, Cooper reportedly contacted the Muchea tracking station about a greenish glowing object approaching his capsule. Here's the crucial detail. The object was allegedly confirmed on radar at the Muchea tracking station. This was not just a visual sighting, it was tracked on radar. According to reports, although NBC was covering the flight, reporters were later forbidden from questioning Cooper about the UFO sighting after he landed. Cooper would later become one of the few NASA astronauts to speak openly about UFO encounters. But Cooper was not alone. During the Gemini 4 mission in June 1965, pilot Jim McDivitt spotted an object he described as a white cylindrical shape with a white pole sticking out of one corner of it. He took 2 pictures of it while his partner Ed White was asleep. McDivitt maintained throughout his life that while he believed it was man-made debris, he could never identify what it was. The Gemini 7 mission in December 1965 produced another puzzling report. Astronaut Jim Lovell transmitted to mission control that there was a bogey at 10 o'clock high, and that they had several actual sightings. When asked if the object was their booster rocket, Lovell confirmed they could also see the booster, meaning whatever they were seeing was something else entirely. Even in recent years, these encounters continue. In 2023, former astronaut Leroy Chiao reported seeing two spherical metallic objects that passed within 20 feet of his private aircraft while flying from Colorado to Texas. Despite being on an instrument flight plan under air traffic control, nothing showed up on instruments or radar. Chiao, a veteran of 4 space missions, said he continues to believe they are probably part of some kind of secret program, a government program, or advanced drones, but he has no way of knowing. In 2013, another incident occurred that was caught on camera. NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy alerted ground controllers to an unidentified object floating near the International Space Station. This time there was a mundane explanation. After researching these incidents, one thing becomes abundantly clear. Space is far stranger and more unsettling than most of us realize. NASA Assistant Administrator Robert F. Alnut concluded in 1970 that after 15 years of manned space voyages, including space stations and landing on the moon, spacemen have brought back not a shred of evidence, verbal, photographic, or otherwise, for the existence of extraterrestrial spacecraft. Yet the encounters continue to be reported. The cosmic ray flashes that plague astronauts' sleep are absolutely real and scientifically documented. The strange sounds heard on the far side of the moon were recorded and remain difficult to explain completely. Story Musgrave did see something he could not identify on multiple missions, and numerous astronauts have reported objects that do not match any known spacecraft or debris. What is particularly telling is how reluctant many astronauts have been to discuss these experiences. Astronaut Scott Kelly noted that when he was flying Navy fighter jets, if a pilot reported seeing a UFO, the call sign alien would stick with them for the rest of their career. The professional risk of reporting unusual sightings has created a culture of silence that has only recently begun to change. As we prepare for missions to Mars and beyond, these unexplained encounters take on new significance. The cosmic ray flashes that merely disturb sleep in Earth orbit could have far more serious consequences on a 3-year journey to Mars. The interference and mysterious sounds that puzzled Apollo astronauts might indicate phenomena we still do not understand about space physics. And those unidentified objects, in the vast emptiness between planets, unexpected encounters could have consequences we cannot even imagine. Space exploration has always been about pushing into the unknown, but sometimes, as these astronauts have discovered, the unknown pushes back. Every person who has left Earth's atmosphere has returned changed by the experience. Some bring back samples of moon rock or data from experiments. Others bring back stories that remind us how little we truly understand about the universe beyond our small blue world. The next time you look up at the night sky, remember that brave men and women have ventured into that darkness. And sometimes, just sometimes, they have found things there that even they cannot explain. Things that follow them, things that flash in their eyes, things that sing to them in the void. It makes you wonder what else is waiting for us out there, does it not?